Gatsby-like figure of mystery.
He was stunningly rich. He had a $20 million house, his own private island in the Caribbean.
It has a nickname, the Pedophile Island.
In 2005, the Palm Beach Police Department received reports of young women going to and from his residence.
There was an ever-revolving door of girls.
Who else was underage?
All of them. Those girls brought other girls, too.
That was a clip from Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich. It's a new 4-part documentary series from Netflix that tells the story behind the mysterious tycoon who was accused of abusing women and underage girls for years. Marc Fisher is a senior editor for The Washington Post. Marc is featured in the series, and he joins me now. Marc, appreciate you giving us your time today. This is an incredibly powerful series, a disturbing one, very difficult to watch. Talk to us about who Jeffrey Epstein was.
Well, Jeffrey Epstein was, as the clip said, a money manager. He was a finance whiz who started on Wall Street and made a reputation for himself as someone who managed and made big money for very wealthy people, particularly for one man, Leslie Wexner, who was the founder of The Limited, the Victoria's Secret stores, and other chains in the fashion world. And so Epstein was his money manager, and Epstein had other clients supposedly. He supposedly had a $1 billion minimum that he would take under investment. But he was also someone who hobnobbed with politicians, presidents, princes, people around the world in the highest echelons of academia. He also was someone who had these fabulous properties, including an island in the Caribbean, one of the most expensive townhouses in Manhattan, and in all of these locations, he was accused of having very young girls. We're talking about early to mid-teens who came to him for massages that the women say were actually sexual assaults, sexual conquests on the part of Epstein, taking advantage of underage girls and paying them small amounts to come back again and again.
You know, and we're just showing, as we're speaking to you, Marc, footage of that, of all these survivors and how it's extremely difficult for them to recount what happened to them. But you mentioned Epstein had a number of powerful friends. Donald Trump is included in that group. His attorney, Alan Dershowitz, Prince Andrew. What kind of ramifications are there for them in this case?
Well, you know, it really varies. Donald Trump, who very early on made public statements about the fact that Epstein had an interest in very young girls, Trump actually banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago very early on. And so he has a somewhat cleaner record than perhaps some of the other prominent names. Most famously, Prince Andrew has really suffered his reputation as a result of his entanglement with Epstein. There are numerous photos and accusations by some of those victims that Prince Andrew was one of the people they were sex trafficked to. He's now had to withdraw from public duties as a result of this. But others have had no ramifications whatsoever. We've certainly seen the president and a number of professors at Harvard who've had nothing really happen to them as a result of their ties to Epstein and accusations that some of them were involved with these visits with young girls. And then there are people who are kind of somewhere in between. Alan Dershowitz, the famous criminal defense attorney who worked for Epstein, has been accused credibly by at least a couple of the women of that they were sex trafficked to him. He's denied this vehemently and seems to take every opportunity to denounce those accusations.
What does this, Marc, you know, and as you covered this and whatnot, the bigger picture when we're looking at those who are extremely wealthy, accused of such heinous crimes, what does this mean moving forward for those cases when we look at the Epstein case here?
It's really a mixed bag. As the documentary shows, for a number of years, really a decade or more, Epstein got away with this even after a number of the women had come forward, even after there had been press reports and a police investigation, and prosecutors had decided to bring charges against him, and yet very powerful interests put aside those charges or minimize them. The man who went on to become the Labor Secretary of the United States was the prosecutor in Miami who stopped a major investigation that would have put Epstein away for a very long time. So on one hand, he was able to get away with this for many years because he had friends in high places. On the other hand, it did eventually catch up to him, and because of news reporting in the Washington Post and the Miami Herald, and because women came forward and took their cases to civil court against Epstein, there was a renewed interest after a decade of him getting away with this, and there were new charges brought against him last year by prosecutors in New York, which led to his death by suicide while in jail.
Yeah, which we know that there's questions being raised there, that currently under investigation. But, you know, quite a documentary, quite a story. These women are brave. Marc Fisher with the Washington Post. Really appreciate your time on this. Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich, currently streaming on Netflix. Thanks a lot for this, Marc.
Thanks, Angie.